What's up, running fam? On this edition of Talks with Tiptop, I'm chatting with fellow runner and assistant professor at Coastal Carolina, Dr. Jaime McAllister Deitrick. Jaime and I talk about the safety of running, tacos, a little sports psychology, and everything in between. I hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I did.
Thanks for meeting with me today. You guys good? Everything good?
Yeah, we're doing well, hanging in there.
Well, good. I guess I won't delay here at all, but I guess I kind of want to know how you got kind of into running. Did it find you, or did you find it?
Well, I played competitive sports all my life. I originally went to college on a basketball scholarship and had some injuries, which kind of kept me from playing. And so I quit college basketball, went on to play club softball, and realized I needed something to keep me in shape because I was a college kid, drinking and eating like a college kid. So I started running sporadically at best. And then I would say probably 3 years ago, I started running more seriously with a coach and things like that.
Oh, cool. What position were you when you played basketball?
Shooting guard, small forward. So yeah, occasionally a point guard, but my left-handed ball handling skills were not as good as they needed to be.
Okay. All right. So off the basketball track, we'll go back to a little bit of running here. So pre-run rituals, do you do like a warm-up routine at all?
My coach would probably be mad to know that I don't do as much as I should. I typically just do some like leg swings, things like that. Usually anything I can fit in while I'm waiting for my GPS on my watch to locate and find a good song, and then I'm off.
What are you usually listening to? What are you usually listening to?
Oh, it depends. So my running playlist is everything from like Springsteen, the Beatles, to Disney and Eric Church, and just like everything in between. But then oftentimes I'll listen to like Harry Potter audiobooks or podcasts. It just whatever I'm in the mood for.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big country guy, so any like country music is Dirk Bentley's my guy. So anything of his, I'm always jamming to.
I've been doing a lot of Miranda Lambert lately, so that's been getting most of my runs, I think.
Awesome. Pre-running as well. Strength training. Do you spend a lot of time doing that?
More and more. So I used to hate strength training because when I was playing college basketball, it was 5 a.m. wake up to go do strength training, and I hated it. But now I realize that if I don't want to be injured and I want to get faster, that you have to do some form. So I'm usually 2 to 3 days a week. I do some strength training.
Cool. Do you have a go-to pair of running shoes that you like to lace up in?
I usually have 4 to 5 pairs on rotations. I love Brooks. Ghosts have been kind of my go-to racing shoes lately. The Launch I wear for a lot of my speed workouts. I've started using Diadora has some that I like for longer runs. That gel is really nice. And then I just got my first pair of Saucony Kinvara, and those I love. So mixing it up a bit.
Oh, nice. I just ordered up the Saucony Ride 13 that just came out. So they're probably the most comfortable shoes I've ever owned before. So,
awesome.
What about running shoes? Like, have you tried any that you've run in and you're just like, I'm never running in that again?
So I used to love ASICs. I would only run in ASICs Gel Nimbus, and then all of a sudden their toe box got really narrow, and so I can't run in those. And then I ran in one pair of New Balances. I can't remember which one now, and they were fine, but I ended up tearing my calf while wearing them, and because of that, like I have this psycho thing where I can't wear them anymore. I'm sure the shoe would be fine, but it's in my head.
Yeah. Running is all mental.
Yeah, and as a sports psychologist, I know that, but it's still there. So
that's cool. How'd you get into sports psychology?
So I originally went to grad school for psychology, and then decided I wanted to focus in on sports. I got really into concussion research, So I went off to Michigan State for my PhD and focused on sports psychology. And so I'm a professor in sports psychology, and then I occasionally consult with athletes as well.
Okay, cool. Big Ten country. I'm a Minnesota Golden Gopher, so
Okay.
that's where I went to
That's
school.
Awesome.
So, are you still in Michigan?
No, we're now in South Carolina. So we bounced around a bit. Michigan was when I was up there for grad school. I did a postdoc at Pitt, and now we're down here in South Carolina.
Are you a beach runner? Are you a road runner down there?
I'm a road runner, but I like being near the beach. I like the ocean breeze, but I don't run well on sand. So.
Okay. Do you prefer to run solo or in a group or maybe just one other person?
I think I'm more of a solo runner. I've done some group runs, and I always like the kind of get together at the beginning and talk with people and catch up, maybe grab a beer after. But running is like my time. You know, I've got kids and work and everything else that I need running to be just for me.
I respect that. Yeah, it's a good just mental getaway from everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've been following each other for a while. I know you've run plenty of halves and full marathons. I guess, do you know off the top of your head how many you've run?
Oh, so I know I'm gearing up. I'm starting training for my 7th full marathon. So I know that. Halves, I'm somewhere around the same range. I registered for more halves, but the last couple of years they keep getting canceled because of hurricanes. So I apparently should not register for half marathons anymore. I'd love to get out there and run another one. I haven't run one in over a year, but hasn't been in the cards.
Okay. Is there like a really memorable 26.2 or 13.1 that you've run?
They all have, all marathons have their reason you remember them. You know, my first marathon I ran in Detroit in 2013, and that was 6 months after my daughter was born. So that was like all right, I got to come back. I'm going to run this marathon. And I remember being at mile 25 and seeing my husband and my daughter, and I was just like sobbing at that point. And then in 2016 was my next marathon with St. Jude, and I had run it raising money because a friend of mine lost her son to brain cancer, and he had received treatment there. And that was 6 months after my son was born. So I was apparently only running marathons right after having babies.
Yeah.
I've stopped that trend. So now I run
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, I loved running Richmond this past fall. It was great because that's my hometown. I ran the Marine Corps in 2018, which is just an incredible race. And I think I would recommend that to anyone. But yeah, they've all been memorable for one reason or another.
Okay. So for any women watching, how did you train pregnant for a marathon?
So not well. Having a newborn is incredibly challenging to find time to run. And I was exclusively breastfeeding both kids while training too. So that was like, as my friend put it, working out on your rest days. So it was tough and it was challenging, but it was also motivating. You know, it was one of those things that was like, all right, I know I need to do this. And I love that my kids see me do this. So that kind of kept me going. It also kept me a little sane, I think. It was like I had this newborn. It was like, okay, I got to go for 2-3 hours to run a long run. So I need a break. So I think that was helpful.
Are there any races that it could be a 5K or 10K that, you just know, like, I could run that race like every year?
So every year I do run the Monument Avenue 10K, which is in Richmond, Virginia. And that is one I have been running every year since 2008, I think, with the exception of 2013 when it fell on my due date and I was living in Michigan and my doctor didn't want me to drive 12 hours to run a 10K. Shocky. But yeah, otherwise I've run that every year. It was postponed this year, so we'll see if we get to do it. But I love that race because it's right through the city of Richmond. My whole family comes out and runs it. One year we had my grandmother, my mother, myself, and my niece all running. So we have 4 generations. So that's a race I will always run.
Any like great running location?
My favorite place to run, we vacation along the coast in North Carolina, and I love running there because where we stay, it's right on the canals. And so I love running up and down the canals, feeling the ocean breeze there is great. And it's not crowded at all. So I don't have to worry about like dodging cars or people or anything. So I love it there.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't want to be dodging cars.
Yeah.
After a marathon or even just, a long 10-mile run, do you have a splurge meal or something go to that you like need to eat or drink that later that day?
Yeah. So after a long run, like while running a long run here in South Carolina during the summer, all I can think about are potatoes. Like I have to get French fries or like a baked potato or something. But my favorite meal afterwards are tacos. I have to get tacos. We have a Mexican place right nearby that we love. And so my husband knows when I get deep into training, 18, 20-mile runs, he knows when to call for a pickup. And so as soon as I get home, we've got tacos waiting. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Any chicken tacos, breakfast tacos? What are we talking?
Any kind of taco, I'm down for it. So yeah, I mean, I love chicken tacos, carnitas, beef tacos. I make a sweet potato and black bean taco that's amazing too. So I'll eat any of them.
Oh, yeah. What kind of tech are you running with? Headphones, glasses, all the swag?
So I run with a Garmin. I run with my AirPods right now, which have done well for me. I use one thing I love is I run with my Run Angel, which is an alarm. It fits just like a watch would fit. And it, you hit the alarm if anything happens. It sounds this like incredibly loud alarm, but then it immediately texts and emails your guardians. So like my husband and my parents or whoever else is on there, and it gives them your GPS location. So if anything were to happen, you can immediately do that. And I know as a woman running alone a lot, oftentimes I have to run at night after the kids are in bed. It's just, I like having that extra safety there. So that's one of my big ones.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Are you a big advocate for like that?
Yeah, I love that. I know a lot of women who carry things like mace and stuff like that. I don't trust myself with that. Like I would 100% spray myself in the face. Like, no way that would go well. And I love not having to hold something. So I just wear it on my wrist, and it's just like this nice peace of mind that if something were to happen, I can very quickly get in touch with people. So
I'm gonna have to look more into that. I've never actually heard of that before. So
yeah, I love it. It's called My Run Angel. And so, yeah, definitely look into it. I think it's a great investment and totally worth it. But we actually just got my mom one because she runs a lot of times early in the morning. And so we were like, you need that.
Just a few more questions here. Running goal for 2020. A lot of races been canceled. Have you had to like change your goal on like maybe miles per month, miles for the year?
So my running goals have been shifted, I don't know, like 30 times this year already. I started off the year like doing well. I mean, I ran the Disney Marathon in January, and then I ran Myrtle Beach Marathon in March. And so I just finished up running 3 marathons across 4 months. I was like, great, I'm going to rest and then just keep on trucking. And then I went down with some respiratory infection. We don't know if it was the dreaded COVID or if it was just horrible viral bronchitis. I was out for a month. And so that humbled me quite a bit when I was running marathons, and then I went to run like 5 miles and had to bring a rescue inhaler with me. It was a little humbling. So I've shifted focus a little bit. Luckily, I have a coach I've been running with for about 3 years now, who's really good at making sure we're doing things safely, increasing my base, but not killing me. And then, yeah, with what you said with all the races, I mean, I have on my schedule right now Savannah in November, but who knows? I think there's a good chance we don't see any fall marathons. So worst case, I'm trained for a marathon I can't run. And I guess that's not a terrible thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, as long as you're just moving and staying in shape and getting outside. And,
yeah, I think at this point, that's what my goal now is, to use running to keep me from going crazy. So it's time outside, just kind of away from everything else. So I don't necessarily have any huge goals right now, but hopefully next year I will.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We're all just training for exactly that marathon early next spring or late winter, hopefully. So, runners who are kind of new to running, what advice would you like to share with them?
I don't know. I always think about this. I know at the beginning, everybody says to know your why. Like, why are you running? Remember why you're doing this. And it's funny because we used to talk about that from a sports psych perspective, and it is really useful when you first get started, like understanding why you love running and why you want to run. But it won't last forever. Like, eventually, once you've been running for multiple years, trying to think back like, oh, I'm running to be healthy, is not going to be as motivating as it once was. So I think personally for me, putting myself first, and running is what that is. And every other aspect of my life, I put my kids, my students, everybody else first. So running is that chance for me to do that. And so I think of it like that. So not thinking of running as something I have to do, or proving myself, or necessarily hitting these crazy goals, but running is something I get to do to kind of recharge and remember who I am outside of those other roles.
Have you talked with like other fellow runners about like just sports psychology?
Yeah, so I've worked with a few in the past. I've had a few. I worked with some collegiate athletes earlier, not necessarily runners, but just athletes in general. And then I've even worked with masters athletes and that sort of thing. And we're always trying to figure out kind of, a lot of times I work with athletes coming back from injury, but we're trying to figure out how to kind of keep athletes motivated, keep athletes focused, how to deal with kind of those performance jitters that we all get, how to kind of use that. We always say it's not about getting rid of the butterflies, getting them to fly in formation is the important thing. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to kind of use some of those skills with some runners as well.
And what is something that you're kind of maybe struggling with that maybe you'd like to get better at, and just like your fitness journey kind of as a whole?
Yeah, I think, and I'm sure a lot of runners can kind of relate to this, is not getting too focused only on running. Like, I would run every day if I could, and I would skip out on strength training, and I would skip out on everything else and just focus on running. So for me, kind of setting those goals for strength training, for nutrition, I'm really, really working on my nutrition right now. I'm trying to kind of figure out what is the best macro formula for me. And so that's been big on me. But for me, the hardest thing is to focus on all those others. I'm really good at focusing on running, but how do I get myself to focus on everything else?
And lastly, before we go here, you're on Instagram. Are you on Twitter? How can people find you, follow you?
So Instagram's the big one. So I'm on there a lot, probably more than I should be. But I like interacting with people there. That's a lot of fun. I do have a Twitter account, but it's more kind of my professional. So if you want to follow me on my concussion research, then my Twitter account, which I can give you, is useful in that regard. But for all things running, it's Instagram.
Okay. Anything else that you would like to add?
Oh, I don't know. Thanks for letting me come talk to you. I think it's been really fun that I've gotten to kind of connect with a lot of people on Instagram in this regard. A lot of other runners. I've especially, I've met people on Instagram that then I get to meet in the real world and that's amazing. I've connected with a lot of other, women who are running, who have young kids, and it's just fun to kind of go through those trials together of, wow, I didn't sleep at all last night, and now I have to get up and run 6 miles. And so it's nice to have that community, to know you're not alone in those trials and sufferings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the running community is really powerful. So,
Thank you again, Jaime, for joining me. And if you'd like to give Jaime a follow, scroll down to the episode notes below. Feel free to comment about one of the topics we covered and subscribe to my channel for more interviews with my fellow runners. And remember, running isn't just exercise, it's a lifestyle. I'll see you out on the road.